In today's video tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a delicious ganache really simply and easily by combining heavy cream and chocolate, and we're going to make it all in the microwave. So the first recipe I'm going to show you, or technique, is a ganache drip, which is really popular in cake decorating, and the second is a whipped ganache. So I am filling this microwave safe bowl with semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I'm now going to pour, by the way, this was 12 ounces of our chocolate chips, and I'm getting ready to put in 12 ounces of heavy cream. Just pour it right on top. So that means we're doing a 1-to-1 ratio of chocolate to cream. And I'm just going to make sure that all of our chocolate is submerged. And now we are going to place it in the microwave just at high power for 1 minute. Okay, so I've just taken it out of the microwave. It was in there for 1 minute, and I'm just gonna let it sit for another minute before we heat it some more. Okay, so I just wanted to let you see what the chocolate chips look like now. They're starting to melt, but they definitely are still holding their shape and they're still a little bit firm. So I'm going to put this back in the microwave for 30 seconds and we'll meet right back. So I've just taken out the bowl from the microwave and we've let it sit for about 2 minutes just so the chocolate can start to melt even more. And now I'm just going to take my spatula and start to stir the chocolate and help the melting process. And then gradually, as the chocolate melts, our cream will begin to become darker and darker until we have a really pretty ganache. You always want to be careful when you're microwaving that you don't overheat the cream, because that can lead to the ganache splitting or breaking, which will give it more of a grainy texture. So it's always a good idea, once the chocolate seems like it's almost melted but not quite, that's a good point to then stir to get any remaining unmelted pieces to melt. Okay, so our ganache has a good consistency now. Everything is nice and melted, and so now we have this really pretty ganache. What I'm going to do, because it's still a thin consistency, is I'm just going to let it cool off a little bit more. It'll thicken as it cools. I want it slightly thicker than this consistency for our drip. If we were going to add the drip right now, the little drips would run all the way down to the bottom of the cake. So we're just going to let this thicken and we'll meet right back. Okay, so our chocolate ganache has been cooling off probably for maybe about 15 minutes. And I'm just loading some of this ganache into our disposable piping bag. I can feel the temperature through the bag. It's not even warm really. It's cooled down quite a bit. And I'm just gonna snip the end off of my disposable piping bag. Yeah, we don't want the plastic in the bowl. Okay, and then also squeeze it in the opposite direction of the way that it wants to flatten, just to help round it out, that opening. You could even use a round piping tip if you'd like to. So let's just look on the inside of the bowl. We'll do a little practice run. Make sure that you like the size of opening that you have cut, and also just make sure that it doesn't look too thick. If it does, you can reheat your ganache just a little bit. Or if it runs straight down into the ganache at the bottom of the bowl, you know that it's a little bit too warm. Okay, so here I have a chilled 8-inch tier. It's a 3-layer cake that's been frosted with our fluffy vanilla buttercream, and it's the buttercream has been chilled, and so it's firm to the touch. And I am just going to go ahead and start my drip, and I'm just going around the outer edge. And just do a drip, consistent pressure, and then scoot over a little bit and do another drip. You can space them out however you'd like. And I can tell the opening of my piping tip is a little bit small, but I think it'll still be fine. You can just see the drips that it's making are a little bit more on the skinny side. Okay, so I'm just continuing all the way around. Now you can keep your pressure consistent. If you want to create a longer drip, you just apply pressure for even longer. And then once it's about the length that you like, you can release the pressure and it will still flow down just a little bit more. Also, because we're working with a chilled cake, the chocolate is cooling off really quickly. So that will also help to prevent the drips from going too far down. Okay, so now that we've made it all the way around, I'm going to add chocolate to the top of the cake. And to do that, you can either just spoon it on, or you could cut a larger opening on top like I just did, just to quickly get some more chocolate up here. And let's see how far this takes us. We might need to add a little bit more, but I'm just going to quickly kind of glide over the ganache until it meets up with the edge of the drip that we've just created. And because my buttercream is slightly chilled, I don't have to worry about the buttercream getting mixed up in our ganache. Okay. All right, so you see the process is actually really simple. Some people will start off with just kind of a dollop of ganache on top, and they'll work their way around the edge of the cake, letting it kind of spill over and get the drips that way. But I just like a more controlled drip because I can space it out exactly how I like. So it really comes down to your personal preference, but I think this has a really nice look. Okay, now I'm just adding just a little tiny bit more ganache to the top because I want to add just a little bit of texture, just as a pretty look. You might prefer to just have it nice and smooth on top, and that's fine too. But I think this looks pretty with the little ridges. So I am going to stop now. We're going to let our ganache cool off a little bit more, and next we're going to whip it and add a few more decorations to the cake and also decorate a few cupcakes. Okay, so our ganache has been sitting in the bowl for about 3 hours, 2.5 or 3 hours, and it's gotten much thicker. So I'm going to whip it with a hand mixer to lighten up the consistency so that it will work well for piping onto our cupcakes. So you can see the consistency's gotten, or the color has gotten a lot lighter. This is what it looked like before. And the consistency is definitely more fluffy. Now I have my whipped ganache in this piping bag that's fitted with a 1M piping tip. And I'm just going to do some simple swirls on these cupcakes just so that you can get a good look at the consistency of our ganache. So we just start on the outside and spiral up and slightly inward. And for our toppers, I'm just gonna do just little heart sprinkles that we have, but of course you could go with whatever works for your theme. Now I have a French tip, and this is a 6B, just a Wilton 6B. And I'm just gonna space out my stars all the way around the cake. And this just gives us just another layer of chocolate. I think it looks pretty. Okay, so our cake and cupcakes are finished. I love how these came out. The ganache has such an elegant look when you use it as a drip. And also the whipped ganache is a delicious and super simple way to frost your cupcakes or your cakes. So if you've never worked with ganache before, I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.